Hello everyone. My name is Abdullah Sultan, and in this video I will explain about how you can transform your speech and why you can transform your speech. So why and how. So first off, let me say that it doesn't matter where your starting point is. You could be a severe stutterer, a moderate stutterer, or a mild stutterer. It doesn't matter where you start. The process is the same. The work that you have to do is the same. And the end result is the same. What is the end result? The end result is smooth, confident speech where you don't think of the words, where you can stream your thoughts, share your ideas, speak in high pressure speaking situations, and speak confidently, smoothly, and calmly. That is the end result. So, first of all, let me say that you should have hope, you should have faith, and you should believe in the Pro 90D system. And I will explain why you should have all of these things, why you should have hope, faith, and belief in yourself that you are capable of doing this and in the system. But in order for me to explain why, I have to explain the foundation of the Pro 90D system. And the foundation is a science foundation. It's based on science research. It's based on scientific facts. And since I am from a medical background, I understand it quite well. And I can verify that it is actual factual evidence. And if you want to do further research, you could learn about neuroplasticity, habit and pattern formation. Neurons that fire together, wire together. All right? So, what is the science behind the system? So, in order for me to explain this in accordance to our speech, I will say that there are two sides of our speech. The first side is a physiological side, which is the way you speak, or in the Pro90D system, we like to call it your speaking style. The second side of speech is the psychological side, which is your mindset, i.e., the way you think. So both of these have an impact on how you speak. And I will explain about what the approach of the system is in accordance to your speech and why it has this approach and why it's the best approach. And I will explain the science behind this approach. Okay? So, first, let's talk briefly about the physiological side, i.e., your speaking style. So, you have a speaking style that you've been speaking ever since you have learned how to speak. And up until this date, let's say, for example, you've been struggling with your speech ever since you were 6 years old and now you're 18 years old. So, for the past decade or more, you've been using this default, or as I like to call it, your old speaking style. Okay? And when you were using this speaking style, you were associating a lot of negative memories and experiences while using it. Okay? And so the same is with your mindset. So now we will touch a bit on the psychological side. You have a default or an old way of thinking about your speech, all right? So what we like to call it is you have a pattern of thinking. So normally, even before you start to speak, you already anticipate the words that you are going to to struggle with or get stuck or blocked on in advance. And that builds up anxiety, that builds up nervousness, and it makes it difficult for you to get the airflow going to speak. So, all of these things are habits, they're patterns. Even though you have a disfluent way of speaking, that is still at the end of the day a habit. Why? Because you don't think about it, it just happens automatically. It happens subconsciously. Just like how you don't think about the way you walk, or the way you drive a car, or the way you brush your teeth. Many of the daily activities you do every day are all habits. About 75 to 80% of them are habits. So, just briefly, why is it a habit? And why do our brains like to create habits and use habits, which are just basically scripts that it repeats over and over again? Well, the reason why is because if our brain wasn't capable of creating and strengthening a habit to become automatic, our brain would get very exhausted, it would get very tired, and it wouldn't be able to do daily functional tasks because it would have to be conscious of them, right? The whole point of having a habit is so that your brain doesn't have to be conscious of it. It doesn't have to use conscious energy. See, that's the key word, energy. Your brain conserves energy by creating habits, and it tries to use it on very select tasks, right? So now we can agree that the way you speak is a habit, although it may be a disfluent way, but nonetheless it's a habit. Same for your same for your thoughts. Same for your thoughts with your speech. So, what is the Pro 90D approach to this? The approach is a very simple yet effective approach. And keep in mind, this approach is the most effective approach and is the easiest approach to transforming your speech. What it does is instead of it trying to focus on trying to fix the old habit of speaking, it instead creates a new habit of speaking by creating a new speaking style and by creating new patterns of thoughts, i.e., your mindset. And then what it does through repetition is, as I said, neurons that fire together, wire together. So those new habits become stronger the more you use them, and the more stronger they become, the easier they are for you to use, and the easier they are for you to use, the smoother you speak. And so the more you use them, the stronger they become, and the less you use your old style of speaking, the more inactive it becomes. And when that happens, eventually that new habit will overtake and override the old habit. And it'll just become the way you speak now, which is a smooth, fluent way of speaking. Now, keep in mind that this new speaking style consists of a bunch of speaking skills that excellent speakers use, and it consists of a bunch of speaking skills that enable you to speak in a flow and to speak in a rhythm and to make you sound smooth and nice and confident and very fluent. Okay? And same thing goes with the mindset, with your thoughts and patterns of thinking. It helps you to not negatively anticipate. It helps you to not think so much negatively about your speech and it makes you use active self-talk to think positively about your speech. So you shift from one train of thinking to the other train of thinking. Now, in order for you to do this, you would obviously need to repeat the same actions again and again. You would need to think the same thoughts, and you would need to use the same speaking style, new speaking style. And in order for you to do this, it requires a lot of mental energy. It requires a lot of conscious energy. Why? Because, as I said, it's a new habit. If you're not conscious of using it in the moment, your brain is just going to revert back to your default way of speaking and thinking. All right? So, this is in brief the science behind the system, and I've also explained how you do it. So, I've explained why it is no, I explained how it's possible for you to transform your speech entirely, and I've also explained how it's possible in short. Alright? So I hope that this ignites some fire within you to believe that it is possible and that there is hope for you and that you are able to do it. Tens of thousands of people have already done it inside the speech system. I have also done it. And so if I can do it, so can you. Thank you.